Today on Prerit, we have with us Anurag Kedia. Anurag's CV is exceptional. He's an engineer from IIT. He followed that up with a management degree from IIM Ahmedabad. Anurag, at the beginning, took the very conventional route. He worked for multinationals such as KPMG and TAS. He later got bitten by the entrepreneurial bug. Anurag, along with his friends, Sunil Rao and Saurabh Garg, started the Four Fountains Spa. The Four Fountains Spa aims to be one of the largest spa chains in the world by 2014. The speciality of the Four Fountains Spa is that it is affordable, accessible, and has a simplified menu. Thank you, Anurag, for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vidhi. It's a pleasure.
Anurag, how difficult was it to give up a corporate career to set up this venture of yours?
Saurabh, Sunil and myself, we were discussing for a long time regarding what we should be doing with our lives, what we should be doing with our professional careers. And once we were completely convinced that this is what we wanted to do, I think it wasn't as big a challenge. Like we often say, if you take the plunge, you realize the water isn't as cold as it appears from the outside.
Anurag, why spas in particular? Also, was it a challenge in setting up an affordable spa? How long was the initial incubation period?
I think why we got into spas was perhaps triggered by one of several of our personal experiences. We were often traveling because of our business requirements, where we were put up at very fancy 5-star hotels. However, the companies would pay for the food bill, for the accommodation bill. When it came to the spa bill, we had to pocket it. So, when we realized that spas were simply just too expensive for us, even with the fancy MBA salaries, to be using on a regular basis. Also, spas somewhere were always positioned as a luxury, while we realized that it was very much a need. So, whether when you are traveling or on your regular job, the stress has increased to such a level that you need massages on a regular basis to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So, and when we looked around the society, when we looked around in the business environment, we felt that not only 5-star and 3-star hotels, even the regular day spas which were around us were positioned in a manner that it would intimidate a common user. And that was one of the triggers, which led us to believe that this could be eventually a very big market if done right. How long was the incubation? We did a research for like 6 to 8 months. Then we started groundwork towards launch of the first 2 spas. It was close to a year before we got operational. From the day we left our jobs to the time we got operational, I would say it was close to a year.
Anurag, you were very deserving as well as fortunate to find funding initially for your venture from Fulcrum Ventures. For someone who's in the wellness sector, has his own venture and is looking for funding, could you give a couple of suggestions as to how he should approach people for funding?
I would say, whether the wellness sector or any other sector, if you don't have anything to showcase, friends and family are really your best bet. You could, reach out to forums. There are wonderful angel forums in all over the country now. There's Mumbai Angels, there's Delhi Angels. Other cities also here have come up with angel forums. However, the success rate there and the time and effort it will take you to get a funding approved could be disproportionate. So I would really suggest, reach out to your family and friends, ask them to trust you, because they are the first ones who would really trust you with their money. Also, if at all you have to approach a VC, take a reference. Because if you are trying to raise funds through a cold call, it is going to be extremely difficult. If you can use a reference to an HNI, to a VC, where somebody else who the VC or the HNI trusts really well, if they put in a word saying, look, these guys are fantastic, chances are that you will end up raising a fund. Otherwise, getting a fund on a cold call or on a, purely on the basis of a mail or a business plan is going to be extremely difficult.
Anurag, are there any tips you could give to someone for his business presentation or pitch when he's approaching someone for funding?
I think, what are VCs really interested in? VCs basically want to see many-fold returns on whichever business they're investing in. However, the base criteria which most VCs in my experience would use is, are they comfortable with the people they're going to work with? Because business plans will evolve, business plans will change. So while VCs would obviously want to comprehensively research, a complete business plan, they want to see a complete team in place. So instead of going alone as a promoter, if you showcase a team, if you showcase a clear commitment towards the business you are trying to raise funds for, it will perhaps up your chances towards raising a fund.
This venture of yours has been set up with 2 of your friends. There's Sunil Rao as well as Saurabh Garg. How easy is it to work with friends? or is it difficult? Is it a challenge? Again, all three of you all are highly educated. So are the boundaries, very clearly defined, or are idea clashes as well as ego clashes pretty common amongst you all?
See, I think it's like love marriage. You could have been dating a person, for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, but you never know how it is going to be after marriage. So, I don't have a clear opinion on whether you should do it with friends or try to form as professional a team as possible. Yes, complementary skill sets will always help. So it makes sense that you join hands with, if you're joining hands with friends, people who bring in some different skill sets than the ones you own. When it comes to, opinions and ego clashes, yes, there are functional boundaries which are drawn. So I take care of a certain set of responsibilities. Sunil would take care of marketing. Saurabh would take care of operations. And our functional decisions really are left to us. However, there are very often, clashes of ideas, there are arguments, there are debates, which we believe are healthy and required. If there is a team and people are not arguing and debating, and really heated arguments, I would say at times, either people don't care or they don't have good ideas, both of which are very dangerous situations.
Anurag, you're from an IIT IIM pedigree. People expect you to take the high-flying job. Is it difficult to convince family and friends that, you'll have to wait on? You're doing an entrepreneurial venture, so it could take a couple of months or years to get established?
I think the environment today is so positive for entrepreneurship that at least in the peer group, you will almost never hear discouraging you. There'll always be a word of encouragement. There'll always be support. People will want to go out of their ways to support you in whatever way possible. If nothing else, emotional and moral support. When it comes to family, yes, at times they can be a little skeptical. However, thankfully in our cases, the one question which our families have repeatedly asked us is this really what you want to be doing? Are you enjoying yourself? Instead of asking us, are you making enough money or will you make enough money eventually? So in our cases, our families have been very supportive. Their concerns have been more in terms of the professional satisfaction and the emotional satisfaction which we should be driving out of our work rather than purely financial gains.
You all have used the franchisee business model. Could you briefly elaborate the eligibility criteria for someone who's looking to join you using the franchisee model? What would be, if you could say, the unique selling point for someone who's looking to join you this way?
Yeah, even before getting into what is the eligibility criteria, I would like to get into when we decided to get into franchising. By God's grace, the first month which we started operation, we had franchisee inquiries flowing in. Our business model was not even half proven. This was the first month of our operations. For some reason, the consumers accepted it very well, and there were franchisee inquiries flowing in from month one, like I said. However, we decided to wait out for close to 3.5 years before we could franchise out. So we kept on growing by joining hands with franchisees who were only passive investors. The operations were still under our control. It is only in the past 6 months or a year that we have now started franchising out operations also, where the franchisee not only brings in the financial commitment, it also controls the operations for the spa. The kind of people we like to work with as franchisees are professionals, people typically who have been in a corporate life, very, very rarely people who are fresh out of colleges, but typically professionals with 3 years, 5 years, 10 years of experience. A lot of time they tend to be women, because women in the early 30s, late 30s, they start realizing that one, their corporate career is not fulfilling enough. Second, the time commitment which they need to devote towards their family and towards their career is somewhere not being managed too well. The USP of a franchise is really that we are able to offer a balance between your professional and personal life. This is not to say that we are not willing to work or we are not working with men entrepreneurs. We are very happy to be working with men as well, but we see more response from women because they see this as a perfect fit. The franchisee offers them an opportunity to learn about different aspects of a business. So whether it is finance, whether it is marketing, whether it is operations, whether it is HR, it exposes you to all the functions. We have a very, very comprehensive training program to help you learn the business. We also step in to support wherever the franchisee might not be best capable of executing something. For example, searching for a property and negotiating with brokers and contractors on a day-to-day basis is something most women might not be comfortable with. So this is a place where we step in. However, how should the interiors look like? While there are brand guidelines, we want the franchisee to be a part of it so that he or she feels that she has actually created that entire space for her. While we will recruit and train people, we also help the franchisee to be hands-on with the business so that they can develop that feeling of bonding with their own team. So there is a skill set which we bring onto the table, and there is a certain skill set which we expect the franchises to bring onto the table.
Anurag, could you briefly run us through the cost which would be required to setting up a franchise?
The cost vary from city to city. So in a small town, let's say in an Aurangabad or a Pune, the cost could be anywhere between 30-35 lakhs. In a large town like Bombay or a Delhi, the cost could be in the range of 40 to 50 lakhs. When I'm talking about the cost, I'm talking about the entire project cost. So I'm including all my costs, whether it is towards interiors, contractors, architects, brokerage, registration, even a lease deposit, working capital. Often what happens is that a lot of franchisee models which you see in the market, they'll talk of a certain figure and then they will say, you need to own a place. Very often people don't own a place. If I don't own a place, am I eligible for a franchisee or not? We say you're still eligible for a franchisee. You just need to add on the lease deposit, which is already included in the project cost. In fact, if you own a place, the cost will come down. That's how we work. There is no franchisee fee, which is again a USP for us. So we don't charge anything upfront, just to sign on the dotted line. When it comes to brand standards, we really believe that if the franchisee is as committed and comes with a professional mindset, there will not be any brand dilution. There are processes which we have put in place, whether it is in terms of mystery audits, whether it is in terms of how you manage the spa, what are the skill sets, like I was saying, we need to bring to the table. So all the recruitment and training is managed by us. And hence we are able to control any risks to the brand.
Anurag, could you tell us what's your vision for the Four Fountains Spa going ahead? Also, is there like a constant battle, whether you want to take home the profits or you want to keep, plowing money back into the business?
See, we're looking to really work towards a stress-free India. And that we hope to achieve, aim to achieve by setting up 300 spas all over the country. So we are already at 13, we're looking at setting up around 10 to 12 spas in the current financial year. And going forward, we want to scale up these numbers. So for us, this has never even been a debate internally. We are clearly committed that till the time we have achieved the targets of of setting up 300 spas, we are not going to take out any profits. Any money which the business earns has to be plowed back in the business. Typically, for most startups, I would think the first 5 to 7 years, it would be difficult to plow out any profits if you want to build a long-term sustainable business. So if you're looking to start a business, I would really advise you look at that kind of a time frame.
Who's your inspiration in life? आप किससे प्रेरित हैं?
My personal inspiration is His Holiness Shri Shri Ravi Shankar. I did the Art of Living course around 12-13 years back, and I really admire him for not only the personal difference he's made to me, but also if I look at him purely as a leader, the way he touches the lives of millions of his followers and the way he makes them work towards the common vision of a better society. I think that really inspires me.
Thank you so much, Anurag, for joining us today. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thanks, Vali.